Hey guys, this is Yoda. This will be my guide to the Heart of Tuzari, which we did in beta. It's the Adept 7 dungeon, so you need to do this to unlock Champion. We're going to start off with this 3-pack pull. I have seen people click this out of combat and then just chain this Hellcaller forward. You probably should do that, honestly. But I didn't know about this tech, so here I am just soloing it down. The Hellcaller itself doesn't have any too many important casts. Armageddon, it just drops a bunch of swirlies. I think it has one tank bolt, and it also has Restore Vitality. Demonic Lash is a tank bolt, and it also does have Restore Vitality. I'd say mainly you just need to interrupt Restore Vitality. Onward to some more sickles. These sickles don't really do anything, they just hit the tank. The Bloodfang Raiders also kind of just hit the tank, but they do a lot of damage, and they tend to patrol if they're like in the dungeon. And the Man Catchers will pull the tank. If you try to run away or kite, they pull you back, is what they do, I think. Alright, easy pull. We're kind of pack by packing it because I think at this time in the beta I was a bit under geared for this dungeon. I didn't have my Sarrels yet. And yeah, my gear was just like not quite ready, but everyone else in the party was ready, so we decided to do the pull for the dungeon. So in this pull, there's a few new mobs. There's these Pillagers and the Arsonist. The Arsonist has two abilities. Number one is a frontal. It's like Flame Blast, I think. You can kind of just ignore it if you want, just don't like get hit by it. And the other one is Big Ooga Flame. Big Ooga Flame is the one you want to interrupt. It targets a person, and if you don't interrupt it, it does a bunch of damage to them, applies a dot. Usually it's lethal if it's, the real key level, so make sure you're interrupting that. And these Pillagers are, if you have played World of Warcraft, they have bolstering. It's old bolstering, by the way, not new bolstering. So every time an orc dies around them, and by the way, rats for some reason in the other dungeon count as orcs, they gain a stack. They get 10% health, damage, and attack speed. They are very scary once they're bolstered. Other than that, though, they do just hit the tank. So if you can outgear them, then that's fine. By the way, this dungeon features a bunch of these like little pillars. You have to click these to unlock the walls to get to the boss. We do that after we've done all this. Someone I think walked into the patrol here, so I just pulled it and we kill it. Then we pull the boss. So this boss, if you're an undergear tank, this boss is actually really hard. There's a couple things you can do to make it easier. This is Siphon Blood. This is the main mechanic of the boss. It's going to summon a bunch of these orbs that fly around. Ideally, you don't want you to soak these as a tank, but you really don't want them to hit the boss. One thing you might think is that these balls would be like targeting the boss and like aimed at him. However, they actually don't do that. They just move in a line. So you only need to play goalkeeper if they're actually going to go into the boss. Here, and then also the boss has Hammering Strike, which is a tank bleed. And it also has these. If you take a ball, you get one stack of this tainted blood. Damage taken increased at 20% per stack. I'm relatively sure this applies to all damage, but I'm not 100% sure. It might only apply to the ball damage. But anyway, if you are a tank, then I suggest not taking too many of these balls. Only take it if it's gonna like actually hit the boss, because this boss will definitely be kind of apply some pressure to you, especially if you're undergeared. I think I actually die in this run trying to soak too many balls. We'll see later. But yeah, that's basically the whole boss. It's just balls and the bleed. Here I have a ball, I think. We'll see how I die here. Yeah, I walk in. I think if a ball hits a boss, by the way, it's like it explodes on everyone. I'm pretty sure. Do not let any balls in the boss. But here I take a second ball stack and I have the bleed, so I just instantly fall over while under geared. We do have B-reses, so I think we were still able to complete this. But yeah, you don't want that to happen. Do not soak too many balls as a tank, especially only soak balls if they're going to hit the boss. All right, so that's the boss. Next, we will move on to the next pull. All right, so this pull features a Profane Invoker, which has two casts. One is the just random tank bolt that every mob seems to have. Shadow Bolt. The Sickles that only hit the tank. Man Catcher, which kind of stops you from kiting. And this Bloodfang, I believe, just hits the tank as well, but it might do a jump. I don't remember 100%. I decided to pull double here because I do have Grand Melee. Yeah, this Bloodfang actually jumps behind you and does a bite. And the Cutthroats also jump behind. The Cutthroats can only jump behind the aggro target, but you do kind of have to reposition while you're fighting these. We'll see if they actually do it while we're fighting, because I did use Grand Melee. Yeah, he just jumps behind you, and I believe, pretty sure you can't block or anything when they're behind you, so you need to like reposition a little bit every time they do that. Boom, jumps behind me, and then I like reposition so that he's in front again. Here, by the way, I'm pretty sure the correct path is to go left, but I wasn't 100% sure about that, so I just go straight and YOLO and pull 3 mobs. Same mobs as before. The Hellcaller has Armageddon. These have 2 casts, the Bolt and the Wither. This Wither is the one you actually care about. These Slaughter Vines don't do too much. They just melee the tank, and they have this debuff where if you hit them, they hit you back. Like, it reflects 25% of damage. You can kind of see people's health moving down a little bit as we hit them, but they're kind of just free count, to be honest. Next, we progress to the next area. There's 2 Arsonists. Don't let Uga Flame go off. The Man Catcher. Don't try to kite too much. And these mobs all pretty much just hit the tank, to be honest. There's not really a whole lot going on for the group. They like teleport around a little bit. Maybe they'll stop from kiting, but the rest of the group doesn't really think too much. They just hit the tank. This Executioner is a new mob. After that pull, we pull like these 3 plus the Executioner. You do need to pull this back because you need to click this thing to open the gate. Actually, I'm not sure you need to click this. I'm pretty sure this is just like the shortcut. Once if you die, you need to run back. But we pull it anyway. This Executioner is a very dangerous mob for tanks, especially if you're under geared. Every attack he does AoE, and it also applies this a bleed. However, Helena has a really OP ability called the Grand Melee. When you use it, people that normally apply bleed with their auto attack do not apply bleed. So that's why this Executioner is not applying bleed. I'm not sure why he's not applying bleed anymore. Okay, there we go. I basically get to like 3 or 4 stacks and then push Grand Melee, and then that resets stacks, and then afterward, if I get 3 or 4 again, then I'll start kiting. It's kind of how I play that guy. See how I do it here. He is really slow, by the way. If you start kiting him, the rest of the pack will kind of like run after you quickly, unless they're casters. But the Executioner himself will be really slow. I think I have to kite this. I end up having to kite this one a bit. Okay, 4 stacks. Iron Wall ending. 5 stacks. Yeah, here I'm kiting him. You can see the Invoker's like catching up unless it casts, and the Executioner can't catch me if I just walk away from him. Obviously, you don't want to kite too much because the more you kite, the less the pack becomes stacked, and the less damage you do yourself as the tank, and the less abilities you can push to reduce your cooldowns. But it's better than getting to like 30 stacks and just dying. I think I decided to skip that pull since we have a lot of count. Ninja pulled something. I do recommend not pulling any of these side packs. You can just jump down to avoid them. This is a triple caster pack, but it's not too scary. It actually becomes 4 casters, but I have Grand Melee, so I think we can handle it since we have a lot of damage in this group. And of course, all of the bolts are on the tank. I'm pretty sure the only cast that any of these have that's not on the tank is the Ashen Arsonist's Big Uga Flame, so just 1 kick each and call it a day. Next, we move on to the Flower Boss. So this boss has 1 major mechanic, maybe 2 major mechanics. The first one, we'll see in a bit. It's called Legion of Vunkar. And it also has a tank hit called Fangered Snap. This is a tank buster. Just use a cooldown. Reduce your damage taken. This is the Legion of Vunkar. So ideally, you're going to be splitting the room up into 4 sections. I kind of didn't mark or anything, but the group is kind of split up. I also have this Drums Trinket. If you have Drums Trinket, it's really nice for this part. But basically, you want to step on all these circles. Every circle that you don't step on in time will spawn a mob, a Slaughter Vine. If you spawn too many, then the reflect damage from them can become a bit overwhelming. Also, aggro can be overwhelming, also on pull. This is the next mechanic he does. This is the second major mechanic. He suns 2 barbed roots. If no one is in melee, by the way, they do that cast, which you kind of want to avoid. As you can see, our healer is tanking this, or our DPS actually is tanking this one over here, and I'm tanking one with the boss. This is usually how you want to play it. Dodge the root slams. And then also at some point, the boss will cast Slumber. think here it is in 1 second. Boom, Thorn Mother's Slumber. After when it does this, it does nothing, and I believe it takes extra damage, so it's like a kind of a damage burn phase. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. And then the phase kind of just repeats. Vanguard Snap does damage to the tank. Legion of Unkar is a soak. Ideally, this second tentacle is like dead by the time that happens, which it is here. And then I recenter the boss so we can like properly spread around the room while all still being in range. And then just soak. And that's pretty much the whole boss. Not really too much going on. After that, we get to the next area, which has these bulgors. I call them bulgogis. Sickles are the same thing. Arsonist, same thing. The Bulgor basically just hits the tank. He doesn't really do anything special. I believe at low health, he enrages and does even more damage to the tank. But yeah, this dungeon is kind of just, it all really just hits the tank. The Bulgors, I believe, have like the same like slow mechanic that the Executioners have. So if you need to kite them, you can. More of the same mobs that basically just hit the tank. Ideally, I think you would get a campfire here. Although this pack is kind of dangerous. It has an Executioner in it. And a Bulgor that's patrolling. There are a lot of Bulgors patrolling around this area. So if you don't have cooldowns, you know, they can kind of catch you off guard. Below 50, he does enrage. Here you need to kill one of the packs outside the boss room in order to click the pillar to open up the boss room. So even though we have all the count, we just click the pillar and then we open the boss. We don't need to kill both, by the way. For some reason here, I thought you had to kill both. And we are on to the boss. So this boss can be quite difficult. Ideally, you save cooldowns if you have them, or like ults for the second half. The first half is a lot easier, and you'll see why in a sec. So at the start, he will summon these Chosens, and the Chosens are going to walk toward the middle. If they get to the middle, they apply like a 30-second long dot, and it stacks. Like the more they get to the middle, the more issues you have. He also does Dark Malice, which is like a massive ground denial. So ideally, you're just killing these Chosens. By the way, random like CC abilities do work on the Chosens. You should like try to CC them and not let them get to the middle. If you're playing Mako, you can like cyclone them. For some reason, Grand Melee just makes them stop walking. So that's cool. Yeah, do everything you can to not let these Chosens get to the middle. Obviously, don't walk over these beams. And don't get hit by Dark Malice. As a tank, ideally, you're positioning it so that your range don't have to walk too far at a Dark Malice. Also, you kind of want to like budget your damage so that you can kill all the Chosens before they get to the middle, but you also don't miss out too much on boss damage. So it's like a little bit of a balancing act there. At 50%, the boss casts Abyssal Nexus. So this is why here you'll see why you want to save your damage for 50% and below. These lines are basically going to be active the whole time while he does all the other mechanics. Also, when he casts Dark Malice, you kind of can't like move him, so it's annoying. But the hard part about this is that you have to stop all of these Chosens while the lines are like denying you space. Like here, you can see like I'm no longer in range of this Chosen. So if we were playing a full melee comp, it'd be really hard to stop all these. Some of them are very likely going to get to the middle, but ideally this is where you save your ults for, and even like your major abilities like Grand Melee. Chicken Trinket, by the way, works on the Chosens. And basically, you kind of just have to run around in a circle the whole fight and do. It's just P1, except you have to run around a circle. I think I haven't tried running through this as a tank, but I'm pretty sure as a tank you could pop a cooldown and just walk through. Here we unfortunately have to let a Chosen through at 8%. This is the dot we get. You can see it's kind of ticking down. And yeah, that's basically the boss. Remember to save your stuff for below 50, because before 50, it's like kind of easy. You can basically have the whole room. You can see the ads, and it's not that hard. After 50, it becomes significantly harder. So yeah. All right. That's going to be it for the Heart of Tuzari guide. Thanks for watching. Peace out.